this is going to be another one of the 365 names of God series, I guess we call it a series. I keep adding things to it. In this one, he says, I am the creator of all true worship. And we've talked about it before, but I'm going to teach worship a little bit different this morning. I'm not going to teach about singing to God, although that is worship, if your heart does it right. But he is the creator of all true worship. And, one of the things that I have heard said around here is worship means worthship, giving worth to. So to give true worship means that you're going to give him worth, right? He's such a good God. He doesn't do anything or tell us to do anything that he hasn't already done himself. And he's the creator of true worship. So he's given value to us. And he's asking us to give value back to him. And that some of those things are really hard for us to accept sometimes, of how much he really cares about us and thinks about us and loves us and values us. And you know what? It's not because of us. It's not about how great we are or what we do right or what we do wrong, or because we have this talent or that talent, or we're rich here or rich there, or we make it or we don't make it. It's because it's who he is. It's who he is. He is love. He is goodness. He is kindness. He is joy and peace and all those things that are the fruits of the Spirit. And we're supposed to be made into his image. So all he's asking us to do is give back to him what he already is giving to us. You find it hard to say God's worshiping us, because he's not worshiping us in the way we look at worship, but he's given worth to us. He wants us to be his bride. He wants us to grow up into being his bride, and he has placed value. As we're learning all this kind of stuff right now, I just keep thinking about that story we used to tell about the 10-cow bride. And I don't know if all of you have heard it, so I'll tell it real quick, even for the internet people. But, back in the Bible times, the bride's groom to be, would go to the father of the bride, and he would give him a huge amount of whatever, treasures, jewels, money, camels, servants, whatever, for his daughter's hand, okay? And usually the more beautiful she was and elegant she was and graceful she was, the more she was worth, okay? And apparently 10 cows must be a lot. Must be worth a lot. Because in this story, she was not beautiful. And she was not wonderful and graceful and all of those things. She was kind of the ugly duckling that nobody really wanted, and she had no confidence in herself. But he came and he paid 10 cows for her, which was just unheard of, apparently, in the story, okay? I just know the story. I don't know the whole everything behind it. But he took her as his bride, and he loved her. He really, really loved her. Even though, from the world's standpoint, she didn't look like anything that deserved to be loved. And he loved her, and he loved her, and he loved her. And because of the love that he lavished on her, she became beautiful and graceful and gorgeous and all of those things that he wanted in a bride. Okay, and that's what our God does for us. We're kind of ugly sometimes. God just showed me he's digging some deep, deep wells in us. You know what happens when you dig a well? What just came up? Dirt. And of course, and he's digging wells. He's digging deep wells in us. He's trying to get to the water that's inside of us. And Terry's ruined the presence of God. No, you haven't. But that whole idea of when the weight of his glory comes down, the broken things are shown. We got a lot of brokenness in us still, don't we? And why is that? We've been doing this a long time. He's been digging, at least in me, and it kind of looks like in all of you around me. For the last 3 to 4 years, I know, especially in my life, he's been digging some deep, deep wells. There have been a lot of dirt coming up out of those places. And the first years that you're serving God, it seems So exciting, so fun. You think you know it all. You're seeing breakthroughs, right? You see little stuff going on. You're not reacting the way you used to react. And we were just talking about money. You're getting some of your natural things in order. You're kind of getting better in your relationships, and you're getting better in your money and how you act through your days. And then he starts getting to those deep well places. Those hidden, deep, dark places. They have a lot of dirt on top of them. Those are those places we don't want anybody else to see. We don't even want to look at them ourselves. It's not necessarily that we're just trying to hide them from everybody else. We're trying to hide them from ourselves because we think he's such a big, untouchable God and that he wants us to be so perfect that we can't make a mistake. Because if we do, then he's going to see all that dirt and then he's not going to want us anymore, right? But that's not the truth at all. He sees that well that's underneath of all of that. He sees what he created you to be from the very beginning. Before there was even time, he created you to be something beautiful. And he's trying to dig all that dirt off the top of that and get to that thing. And, from our bellies are going to come rivers of flowing, did I say it right? Living water. Flowing rivers of living water. Pure water. We sang that song this morning. He's coming on a white horse that's pure flesh. He's one. I just said we think he wants us to be all clean and perfect. Okay, we think he wants us to be all clean and perfect because he can't stand us if we're not. He wants us to be all clean and perfect because that stuff is killing us. And because he wants a bride to stand up beside him and love him and rule with him and reign with him and adore him. And this is where my message originally was going, is that word adore has been coming up everywhere in my life. Okay, I can say I love you, right? And I do. I love all of you. I love all of you. All of you. Everybody in this room, I love you all. Okay? That's one thing. But if I say I adore you, that's something totally different, isn't it? Like, here's the definition of adore. If I can find it on my paper. I'm crying on your Bible, Daniel. Love dearly, be devoted to, dote on, hold dear, cherish, treasure, prize, think the world of, admire, hold in high regard, look up to, idolize, worship, put on a pedestal. God wants us to adore him because he adores us. Okay. And as I read this, I want you to think, this is what he's wanting us to feel toward him because this is what he feels toward us. To love dearly. And I'm going to say it again, he doesn't feel this way about us because of who we are and what we do. He feels this way about us because of who he is. And he is love. The Bible says he is love. Okay? Adore. Love dearly. Be devoted to. Dote on. Hold dear. Cherish. Treasure. Prize. Think the world of. Admire. Hold in high esteem. Look up to. Idolize, worship, and put on a pedestal. Can you fathom that God thinks that way about you? Okay, and you got this idea that, we're so self-centered, and we are. I'm not saying we aren't, because we all know we are. But that if you start thinking that God thinks this way about you, you'll just get more self-centered. Okay? And that's true if all you're doing is trying to get him to do this for you. But if you're trying to do this back to him, if you're trying to do all those things back to him, if you're trying to adore him, you're going to do everything you can to get away from all that nastiness and all those other lovers. When you truly love and adore somebody, do you have a bunch of other lovers? You just have If you adore them, you don't even think about another lover. You don't, that thought doesn't even register in your head that you would ever even want to be with anybody else. If you adore somebody, you do everything you can to make them happy and be with them. Okay, so if we're adoring him, if we're letting him adore us and we're letting that, how is that going to become who we are if we don't let him let that in? We don't know how to do it on our own. We've only ever seen what the world does. We've only ever seen how the world loves. And how does the world love? You do for me what I need done, and if you don't make me happy, I'll go on and find the next person. And once I finally find that place where you make me happy and you give me everything I need and I feel wonderful, then I finally found love. It ain't going to happen, folks. It ain't going to happen. If the love is not in here coming out, the love is not coming from him and coming out, you're never going to find it. You can search and search and search and search and search your whole entire life till you're 90, 100, 150. You're not going to find it if you don't have the love of God inside of you. And another person is never going to be able to give it to you. Ever. Never. We love each other. We bless each other. We do things that we feel love for each other, right? And things that make each other happy and whatever. But that's not where our source comes from. It can't be where our source comes from. Because, whether it's right or wrong, like, whether the situation, how you're looking at it, if you're looking at it the right, wrong way or the wrong way, people are going to let you down. Like, even if they didn't really, but you think they did, okay? People are going to let you down. And sometimes people are really going to let you down, and sometimes you're just going to see it like they let you down because you're only looking at yourself, right? So we can't depend on that. We just can't depend on that. And he is trying to get us to a place where we're free of all of this junk and all of this dirt. And he's digging and digging and digging. And it is not fun, and it is not comfortable. And sometimes you feel like you're this big. Sometimes you have a victory and you feel like you're this big, But all of that doesn't matter. My whole purpose of this message that I'll get to here in a little bit is that we have to adore him. We are not going to make it through this journey. Just getting rid of our sin is not enough. If we don't love him, adore him, cherish him, if we don't do that, we are never going to hang into this. I say it's too hard, but it's also easy if you just love him. Didn't Catherine Kuhlman or somebody say that? I'm finding that it's true. It's also easy if you just love him. But we got to know what love means. Love doesn't mean, God, you're going to give me everything I want, the way I want it, when I want it, how I want it. Because that's not love. Love is, I'm going to give you everything. I'm going to give you everything. I'm going to fight this fight. I'm not saying this is me. I'm saying we're going to fight this fight. We're going to dig this dirt out till there's no dirt left, till that pure water. Think about that. Mike's always talking about the muddy water that it talks about. Leviathan comes and stirs up the waters. Okay, God's digging and that dirt's coming out. And when you first hit water, what's going to come out? Muddy, dirty looking, nasty looking stuff. Can I get a Kleenex? But you just keep digging, and you just keep cleaning, and you just keep refining, and pretty soon it's going to be pure. And what comes out of us is going to change. But if we learn to adore him now, okay, this kind of gets into something else that God's been kind of showing me is we can't just wait and say, okay, well, one of these days when I get where I'm supposed to be and everything's working like it's supposed to work and I've got all this stuff free, then I know I'll adore him then. Or someday, God, when you finally get me fixed, then I'll adore you then. We have to adore him all the time. Whether circumstances are going the way we want them to, or whether circumstances are not going the way we want them to. Whether we're getting what we want or whether we're not getting what we want. Whether we think we don't understand why he hasn't healed us or fixed the problem or give us an answer or spoken to us or any of those things, we still have to adore him. And he's been showing me I don't know if this is going to make sense to you. Father God, let him pick it up in the Spirit. He showed it to me first with healing. And then I saw it with doing right, doing what's right, or having integrity, okay? And then this morning, too, I saw it with getting rid of our sin. So I heard this guy I've been listening to on YouTube say, when you pray for somebody to get healed, I wish I could hear him do a full teaching on this, because I've just heard snippets of him say this. When you're praying for somebody to get healed, it's like you want to take healing and pull it down and bring it into this one moment. And if it doesn't work in this one moment, then you walk away upset and mad and you don't understand and blah, 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 blah. Okay? We want to do right because we want the circumstances to change. Because I hear us say sometimes, I just keep doing what's right and nothing changes. What good does that do? We want to get rid of our sin because we want our lives to get better. Okay? Those are all wrong motives. All of that is wrong motives. Healing is always there. He already paid the price for it. It's always there. We're trying to grab a hold of it, and even if we can't seem to pull it in this moment for whatever reason that may be, maybe we have wrong thinking, maybe there's devils in the way. I don't know why it doesn't always work like it's supposed to. Maybe you didn't hear God right and you were doing it in your own strength. I don't know why it doesn't always work like it's supposed to, but I know it's always available. Always. He paid the price for it. Always to be available. We're the ones that have to stay steady. How many times have you heard that in here? We got to stay steady. We got to believe that he already did this for us. We have to believe that it's there, that it's available. And we won't go off of that course no matter what we see with our eyes. Then he started showing me the same thing with integrity. Like, we want to do things to make our circumstances change. And how many times have you heard people say this? I've tried that, and it just doesn't work. You read them a scripture, you tell them something that you feel like God's saying, and they say, I've tried that, and it just doesn't work. Okay, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing what's right and what has integrity in it just so your circumstances will change. You do what's right, and you have integrity in what you do because it's right. And because that's what he's asking. And because that's who he is. And doesn't he always do that? I mean, do you think when he sits and looks at this earth and how messed up his children are, his bride is, and his people are, do you think he sits up there and goes, well, I've tried that, and it doesn't work, so I guess I'm just going to give up. And, what does that really mean anyway? We go, I tried it, it didn't work. So what? We're going to go back to our old nasty ways? Did they work? So it doesn't even make sense. It's just how our brains get hooked up in this world, right? It's like, you got to have integrity because he has integrity. You have to be righteous because he's righteous. You have to be holy because he's holy. And you have to do that through whatever's going on. Whatever's happened, whether the circumstances change or whether they don't, whether you get your way or whether you don't, you stay steady, okay? He's taking us to a place of sin-free. He wants us to be sin-free. And we're going to stay on that path, whether we keep seeing the dirt come up or not, because the dirt has to come up to get out of us to get where we're going, okay? Okay. So I'm going to go to Psalm 15:1. This is out of the Amplified. I'm going to kind of switch back between the Amplified and the Passion Bible this morning. This is one of my favorite scriptures, and I don't know why, because it's hard to live. But it's how we have to live. Okay, this is what the first verse says. Psalm 15:1. Lord, who shall dwell in your tabernacle? Who shall dwell on your holy hill? Okay, let's stop and say, what does that mean? Dwell means what? We're going to live there. Okay? Don't think of I live in my house, but, your attitudes and the way you do things, this is where I live. Okay? We live there. This is where we get everything from. Don't you go home to get your clothes? You go home to get your food. You go home to to rest. You go home to get your stuff, right? So this is where we want to dwell. We want to dwell in his tabernacle. We want to dwell on his holy hill. And this is going to tell us how we can do this. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 things that he's going to tell us. Only 4 little things. They're big, hard things. If you're not letting him lead you, they're big, hard things, okay? Verse 2. Oh, I'm going to read 1 again. Lord, who shall dwell in your tabernacle? Who shall dwell on your holy hill? He who walks and lives uprightly and blameless, who works righteousness and justice, and speaks and thinks the truth in his heart, so that he can change his circumstances and be comfortable and not have any irritation in his life. Is that what it says? Oh. It says, he who walks and lives uprightly and blameless, who works righteousness and justice, and speaks and thinks the truth in his heart. Verse 3. This is who can dwell in his tabernacle and on his holy hill. He who does not slander with his tongue, nor does evil to his friend, nor takes up a reproach against his neighbor, unless, of course, they deserve it and do the things that hurt me and aren't acting the way they should. Brenda's. Works good, doesn't it? That's not what it says, is it? It says, he who does not slander with his tongue, nor does evil to his friend, nor takes up a reproach against his neighbor. Verse 4. In whose eyes a vile person is despised, but who honors those who fear the Lord, who revere and worship him, who swears to his own hurt and does not change, except when swearing to his own hurt is too hard and takes too long and doesn't look like it's doing any good. Verse 5. And who does not put out his money for interest, and who will not take a bribe against the innocent. He who does these things can expect everything to go the way he wants it to and will never have any problems in life ever again. Okay, we're all laughing, but isn't that how we live? Isn't that, I know, isn't that what we think's supposed to happen? I know. So it's time we break this stuff. God, get in here and dig these thoughts out, because these are what's destroying us. This is what is destroying us. Every time we get knocked off of something, we think it's supposed to be this way, and it doesn't go that way. And so we go back to our old ways instead of staying on that path that he put us on no matter what the circumstances. We're not in his tabernacle anymore. We don't get to dwell in his holy hill anymore. Like, this stuff, I told one of the people that interviewed the other day, it was a girl that came back from last year, who had quit last year and came back and wanted to interview again, and I said, she asked me a question about something she did something, and she asked me, what do you think about that? Okay, you asked me. I said, you know what I think about that? If you said you were going to do that, then you should do that. It was a thing with her mom. And I said, you want to stand heads and tails above everybody else? Be this one little thing. Do this one little thing, and you will be so far above everybody else you won't believe it. Do what you say you're going to do, because almost nobody does. Almost everybody says what they want to say in the moment, and then they do whatever they want to do when the hurt comes. Because it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. I fight those things. Like, you tell some, when you have to stand up here, I told them years ago, let me teach one Sunday every month. I want to do that so I can stay close to God when my life gets so busy that at least that forces me to get in his presence pretty deep, at least once a month, if I'm not doing it the rest of the time like I'm supposed to, right? Okay, I don't know how many years ago that has been. I tried to figure it out the other day, and I think it's been somewhere between 12 and 15 years, which just boggles my mind because I'm not that old. But do you not think there's times when I don't want to get up here? Like, God, I don't know what you want to say. This is to my own hurt. This is hard on my flesh sometimes, okay? When I just throwing a fit and crying, and then I have to get up here and say, God, what are you wanting to say? And I have to hear him in the midst of that. I remember one time being so sick, like I was so sick. I couldn't hardly talk. I had ear infection. I couldn't hardly hear. I mean, it was awful. Mike said, you don't have to teach if you don't want to. I said, no, I have to. Because what would have happened if I would have said no? Every time it was my turn to teach, that enemy would have brought that back on me again. Because he'll tries to get in there whatever way. Okay, so if we make this declaration that, God, I'm going to live righteous, and I'm going to live with integrity, and I'm going to do everything under my, even if it hurts me, I'm going to do it anyway. What do you think the first thing the devil's going to do is? Well, let's just see about that. Okay? And, Mike has a saying, don't say it, just do it. And I agree with that. But there also has to come a time, so what we usually want to do is we want to say, well, I'm just going to shy away from that then. If having integrity and doing all those things I just read on there, not hurting your friend and slandering them with your tongue and all that kind of stuff, there's going to have to be a point where I'm going to have to come face to face with something. And I'm going to have to decide, am I going to stay on the path that I told God I would go on? Or am I going to shrink down because it hurts too bad to do this? And believe me, it gets harder. The deeper into this well we go, the more the enemy is going to throw stuff at you. I believe with everything within me, that's why Jesus suffered so much as he did on the cross. Because the enemy had already pulled out every other thing that had worked on every other man in all of history. He'd pulled it all out and he'd tried it all on Jesus, and it didn't work. So when it come to the very last moment, he's hanging on the cross. He's taking our sin. He's doing everything for the Father to get done what needs to be done on this earth. What do you think that enemy's going to do? Get yourself down off of there if you are who you say you are. If you're the Son of God, come down there and save yourself. Okay? More pain than we can even imagine. I know there was more darkness. We have demonic stuff. We feel some demonic stuff around us. There was more demonic stuff swirling around him that day than you can even begin to imagine. And he swore unto his own hurt. And he went through with the plan. Because he was a man of integrity. He is a man of integrity. And we're supposed to be made in his image. We've got to do this stuff. Taking a bribe, too, doesn't necessarily just mean taking money. It could be, if you won't be mad at me anymore, I'll do this for you. Or if you will be my friend, I'll do this for you. A bribe can be a lot of things. It can be a lot of things. If you don't get mad, I won't press this issue anymore. It can be all kinds of stuff, right? Okay, so now I want to... I said all of that. This is what we have to do to get where we're going. We are never going to do this in our own strength. You know that, right? We're going to have to adore him. We can't do this by just trying to get rid of our sin. We can't do this by just trying to be good people. We can't do this by just coming to church every Wednesday and Sunday when the doors are open. We can't do this by just getting up in the morning and reading our Bible every day faithfully, our little amount of scriptures that we have written down. We can't do this by, okay, I'm going to pray for 2 hours today nonstop no matter what. Okay, those are all good things. I'm not saying shut those things out. I try to be here every Sunday and every Wednesday, okay? I pray. I spend time in my word. I do all of that stuff. But all of it is useless if you're not going to adore him. Because when you do that, he's going to come and ask you to do things that you don't want to do. He's going to ask your flesh to lay down and do things. Actually, you know what he's going to do? He's going to ask you to kill your flesh. Your flesh has to die to walk this walk. Okay, that all sounds yay happy when you're singing those songs that say our flesh is going to die. It doesn't seem so yay happy when it's actually dying. In fact, I wrote a note to Jan and Danielle the other day, and I said, why does dying to ourselves have to feel so much like we're dying? Because we are. Okay, so I want to read Proverbs. I'm going to read this out of the Passion Translation, and this is Proverbs 31:10. And this is, Danielle had read this a few weeks ago when she did her teaching. And the minute she read it, I saw something in it. Proverbs 31:10. Who could ever find a wife like this? She is a woman of strength and mighty valor. She's full of wealth and wisdom. The price paid for her was greater than many jewels. Okay, so we look at that and we think, oh, she must have done everything right. She must have been perfect. She must just do everything right. And we've all read all of this. We're going to read all of this where she does everything right. We're not going to today, but when you go on and read it, it means that. But it says the price that was paid for her was greater than many jewels. Did he already pay the price for us? So does he already think we're greater than many jewels? How high of a price did he pay for you? Okay, so he must have thought you were pretty valuable and pretty precious, right? So he must be talking about us, right? Her husband has entrusted his heart to her, and she brings him the rich spoils of victory. And when she read, her husband has entrusted his heart to her, immediately I thought, God has entrusted his heart to us. And he did that before the beginning of time. Before creation, he entrusted his heart to mankind. And he did that knowing that we were going to turn around and give our lives and our hearts to another, right? In the garden, we handed everything over to the enemy. Okay, did he get mad and say, all right, I've had it with you. You walked away from me. I gave you all of this. He gave us this whole earth and said, go, have dominion. Enjoy it. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. Name the animals. I'll give you a wife. Enjoy each other. Go have fun. Take everything that I gave you and, enjoy it. Here it is. And I'll come and walk with you every day. Enjoy me. Here I come. I'm going to come and walk with you, and we're going to talk, and everything is going to be wonderful. And we as mankind, we can blame that on Adam and Eve and whoever, but we do the same thing all the time. Turned right around and handed all of that over to another lover. And God did not say, I've had it with you, I'm done with you, it's over, that's enough, that's it. I'm just going to destroy you and create another race of people, okay? And I know people think that he did that with the flood, but we don't believe that God was the one that actually made the flood happen. What did he do instead? He went with a 10-cow price, his life, God's son's life, his life, and he paid the ultimate price. Not because we changed or did anything different. Did mankind turn around and say, did all of mankind fall on their knees and repent and say, oh God, we're so sorry we did this. Please come and save us. We're so sorry that we did this. We see what we did to you, God. We see how you gave us everything, and we just turned around and gave it to somebody else. Is that what mankind did? What did they do? Crucify him. Kill him. What? Because he came and healed us and delivered us and told us the truth about ourselves? Crucify him. And he paid the ultimate price. Jesus went into hell. He grabbed the keys of hell, brought them back, and what did he do with them? Here you go. I gave them to you once. You handed them away. I love you so much. I went and got them back for you. Here you go again. And then mankind fell on their knees and said, oh God, we were so wrong, you're so good, right? Still ain't happened. He still hasn't got the reward for everything he paid. He still doesn't have his bride by his side. He still doesn't have a bride that adores him. Do you understand how different this walk would be if we truly adored him? I told God this morning, why are you having me teach this? I don't adore you. I love you with, Philippio, brotherly love. I like to spend some time with you, and I like you when you help me out, and I like to know when you tell me things that make myself better, because that makes me feel better, right? I don't adore you, God. I don't. When you adore somebody, you think of a young couple falling in love, what do? They can't think of anything else. They want to be with each other all the time. They'll go behind their parents' backs to be with each other. They'll call each other secretly on the phone. They'll run away. They'll run clear away to do that stuff. Do we do that with God? Do we adore him so much that we run away from everything else just to be with him? Are we excited every day when he comes and tells us something about when he digs some of that dirt up? That should be an exciting process. It really should, because we know the more he digs up, the more water, he's getting closer and closer to that water all the time when he's doing that. And so I guess, I'm teaching this message because I need it the most. When you teach up here, you get more out of it than anybody else does, because you spend your time thinking about it, praying about it, reading scriptures about it, everything that anybody says. I'm not kidding you. That word adore for the last month has just been in every song I see. In this Passion Bible, it's in here forever. It's everywhere. I'm going to read you a scripture later that it's in. Sorry, I got to take this off. It's hot up here. So I guess I'm teaching this message because I needed it the most of all. I want to adore him. I want to adore you. I just told you I loved you all. I want to adore you all. I want to give my heart. I want to entrust. Okay, this is what God showed me. He entrusted his heart to us, knowing what we were going to do with it. He didn't take it back. He didn't get hurt. He didn't crawl in a hole. He didn't say, I've had it with you, I'm destroying you. He kept it there. And how many of you would hand the keys of your car over to your teenager, and they got in your car drunk and texting and had a wreck and destroyed your car and hurt themselves, and then you go buy a new car and get another set of keys and hand the keys back to them again? How many of you would do that? We wouldn't do that. And that's what he did. That's what he did. He gave it back to us, and he said, I'm going to teach you how to drive this thing right. I'm still going to love you, and I'm not taking my heart back. I'll never take my heart back. I'll never take it away. I don't care what you do. I don't care how bad you think you are. I don't care what you've done wrong. I don't care how old you are, how young you are, how fat you are, how skinny you are, how stupid you are, how smart you are, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whether you're a kid, whether you're elderly. I'm going to love you. I'm going to adore you. I'm going to give you the keys, and I'm going to teach you how to drive this car. I'm going to grow you up into what you need to be. Just stick with me. Just stay with me. Stay on that path. Keep your eyes on me and adore me, and I'll get you there. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to read this to you quick. Proverbs 14:2, the first half says, lovers of truth follow the right path because of their wonderment and worship of God. Not because they want their circumstances to change, not because they want their life to get better, not because the hurt is so bad, not because they want to be wealthy, not because they want to be comforted. But they follow the right path because of their wonderment and worship of God, because they adore him. I'm just going to read these scriptures to you. John 4:23. From here on, worshiping the Father will not be a matter of the right place, but with the right heart. For God is a spirit, and he longs to have sincere worshipers who worship and adore him in the realm of the Spirit and in truth. Isaiah 54:5. For your Maker is your husband. The Lord of hosts is his name, and the Holy One of Israel is your Redeemer. The God of the whole earth he is called. He's our husband. So every time you read anything about husbands and wives in the Bible, I honestly believe everything on earth is just a picture. I was thinking about this morning. God talks about us as his bride. He talks about us as a brother. He talks about us as his children. He talks about us as heirs. He talks about us as servants. Okay? He tries to cover every gamut. He talks about, I think it said children. He talks about us as he is our father. He's trying to cover every gamut. A friend, did I say that? He talks about us being his friend. He's trying to cover every gamut of the human relationship to tell you he is everything. When you need a father, he's a father. When you need a mother, he's a mother. When you need a bridegroom, he's the bridegroom. When you need a child, when you're being a child and acting like a child, good or bad, we're supposed to act like children. Sometimes we act too much like children. He wants to be our father. He wants to be everything to us. But it says right there that he's our husband. He says that he's our husband. So anytime you read scriptures in here about husbands and wives, you can turn that around. And even I'm going to read you my favorite one again out of Ephesians, just the last verse of it. But if you go back and read all of that, Ephesians 5, it talks about the relationship between the husband and the wife. And right in there it says, this is a mystery about Christ and his church. Okay, we do these things in our marriages because we want to reflect him and we want to be made in his image. And our marriages are supposed to reflect to the world what the relationship with Christ is. But those scriptures are really about Jesus and his church, his bride. And he wants that kind of relationship with us. He wants an intimate relationship with us like a bride and a bridegroom have. So this is Ephesians 5:33, and if you try to find this anywhere except the Amplified Bible, you'll say, what was she talking about? Because the Amplified Bible takes one word in this scripture and puts those meanings that I just read you for adore, those were the synonyms for adore. So those are the words that meant the same thing as adore means. Okay, when I read this Ephesians 5:33 to you, they've taken one word and they've put all the synonyms of what it means. And I love it. I have quoted this for years and years and years because I try to live it. But I have to adore him. He's going to have to put that in me for me to give it back to him. And I'm going to have to yield to it whenever he's trying to do it. Ephesians 5:33, Amplified Version. However, let each man of you, without exception, love his wife as being a sense his very own self. Does he not do that for us? Does he not love us as much as his very own self? Have you ever had God be selfish to you? Okay. So that's his part. Here's our part. Let the wife see that she respects him and reveres her husband, or references her husband. That she notices him. That's my big one with God. How many times does he walk in the room we don't even notice him? How many times do we're asking him for answers and we don't even notice that he's given them to us? How many times does he just want to love on us? He just wants to love on us, and we're so busy with our own little lives and our own sins and our own selfishness, we don't even notice that he's in the room. Regards him, honors him, prefers him. That means we want him more than we want anything else. And not because we're told we have to, and not because we're told that we're going to get free of sin if we do it, and not because we're told that that's what you're supposed to do as a Christian, but because we adore him. Venerates and esteems him, and that she defers to him. What does that mean? Give up what we want for what he wants. When the two don't match. As long as you're going along with God and you're thinking like he is, you're okay. That's not hard, is it? When he brings a lovey, worshipy, sweet, warm song, and you're feeling lovey and worshipy and sweet, and you all curl up and you just feel that wonderful, wonderful, great presence of God, that ain't hard to do, is it? Isn't hard to do? Because you're on the same page with him, right? And when you get to the point where you have something in your life that you can't stand it anymore, it just, you know how terrible it is and you know what it's doing to you, and he comes and says, okay, we're going to take that away, we don't have a problem with that. The problem comes when we have to defer to him. The problem comes when my flesh still wants this, and I kind of like this. I may not like what it causes, but I like it. And he said, nope, we're going to cut that off. As we were singing this morning, he's coming on a white horse. I just said the other day I don't see very often, okay? But I saw Jesus on a white horse with a sword, and he was slashing stuff off of us. It says he comes in judgment and to war. And that scares people because they think, oh, he's going to come judge me and he's going to kill me and send me to hell. That's not what it means. It means he looks into your life. Oh, that's killing you, Justine. Whoosh, whack it off. Oh, that's killing you, Sharon. We're getting rid of that. Oh, Bethany, you can't have that. We're whacking that thing off. Oh, Kathy, whack that off. Oh, Mike, whack that off. He's doing that to all of us, right? He says he prunes us. I saw him with that sword, just whacking stuff off of us left and right. And like, when you get cut, it hurts, right? But it heals. And I hear people use this as an analogy all the time. If you have cancers in your body, they cut them out so they can't infect the rest of you. That surgery may hurt, and it may put you through some stuff, but their thinking is in the long run, it's going to make you better, and it's not going to affect the whole rest of your body. That's what they just stole that from Jesus, because that's what he's doing. He's whacking all that stuff off so it can't hurt the rest of you. Okay. Defers to him, praises him, loves and admires him exceedingly. And that word admires is another big word, I think. Like, when you admire somebody, it means you've set them pretty high. You think an awful lot of them. Okay, and then 1 Peter 3:2, and again, I think you have to read this out of the Amplified for it to sound like this. And this is talking about women conducting themselves like they should. When they observe the pure and modest way, this is the husband looking at the wife who's doing what she's supposed to be doing. When they observe the pure and modest way in which you conduct yourselves, together with your reverence for your husband, you are to feel for him all that reverence includes, which is respect, defer to, refer him, to honor, esteem, appreciate. Do we appreciate God? When he comes and cuts some of that stuff off our flesh, do we appreciate that, or do we grumble? Like, that hurts, God. Stop it. I don't want to do it anymore. Or do we say, oh, God, I appreciate that you cut that thing off before it got any worse than me than it already was. We prize, and in the human sense, to adore him, to admire, praise, be devoted to, deeply love, and then this one is the one I love out of 1 Peter, and enjoy your husband. How many people enjoy God? How many people really enjoy God? We all have things we enjoy to do. We enjoy doing, right? Like, I enjoy eating. We all have our things, and we do those things because we enjoy them. Do we spend time with God because we enjoy him, or just because we're told we have to, or this is what we have to do to get free? Okay, let me see if I got everything off of this note. I did. Okay, so I'm just going to read you this one last scripture, and this is out of the Passion Bible again. This is Psalms 3:5. Trust in the Lord completely, and do not rely on your own opinions. With all your heart, rely on him to guide you, and he will lead you in every decision you make. Become intimate with him in whatever you do, and he will lead you wherever you go. Don't think for a moment that you know it all, for wisdom comes when you adore him with undivided devotion and avoid everything that's wrong. Then you will find the healing refreshment for your body and spirit. Then you will find the healing refreshment your body and spirit long for. Glorify God with all your wealth, honoring him with your very best, with every increase that comes to you. Then every dimension of your life will overflow with blessings from that uncontainable source of inner joy. You love you. Feel God. He's coming down. Settle on God. Settle on our hearts. We adore you, God. We adore you, Jesus. We adore you, Holy Spirit. asking you to come in and take out our hearts of stone and give us hearts of flesh. Hearts that you can mold. Hearts that are open, that we don't hide anything from you. Not that it could be hidden from you anyway. Teach us how to adore you. Don't even teach us, God. Just put it in us. Your Spirit lives inside of us. It's already in your spirit. That adoring is already in your spirit. You adore all the time. You love all of the time. Dig deeper, God. Get that dirt off of that thing that it can flow out of us. God, we just want to praise you right now. We want to honor you. We want to adore you. We want to esteem you. We want to reverence you. We want to defer to you. We want to notice you, God. We want to notice you in this room right now. Let's notice you in this room right now. We want to love you exceedingly, and we want to enjoy you, God. We want to give you everything you paid such a high price for. We worship you and we praise you. And God, we want to adore you, even if we don't already right now. We want to. We're willing to be made willing, God. We're willing to be made willing that you become our everything. You become our everything. We just love you. We thank you that you've entrusted your heart to us. And we want to entrust our heart back to you, no matter what the circumstances. Thank you, God.